Anybody who knows me knows I like to spend a bit of time in the kitchen, which is why it's a good thing that I live in New South Wales, because down in the Socialist Republic of Victoria, well, you all know that they're going to ban gas stoves and, well, pretty much anything else that's kind of fun. But interesting news here that the Liberal leader there, John Pizzuto, or John Prosciutto, if we're in a culinary kind of mood, he has decided to, well, go the other way. Let's have a look at this here.
Gas will still be a feature of residential living for a number of years to come. What we're doing is making the big steps today that will make a real difference to thousands of Victorians entering their new homes.
Now, that was Victorian Labor explaining how telling you how to cook is going to change the weather, but the Victorian opposition, who up until this point have just existed as a pale imitation of Labor, well, my God, I don't know if it's some sort of gene therapy, but I think they've grown a bit of a spine, and they've said they're going to scrap the ban. Let's go to our resident Victorian, Sophie Ellsworth. What do you reckon about how this is all playing out? And has the opposition there, Sophie Ellsworth, finally kind of figured out that their job is to oppose?
Well, it's a first, isn't it, James? I mean, they love being in opposition, the Liberal Party down here. They just enjoy it so much. They don't want to win government. John Prosciutto will not be Premier. John Prosciutto won't be the leader at the next election. So good on him for actually having a stance. I haven't seen this really spruik much at all because the Liberal government down here is so left-leaning. But Dan Andrews, there's been images circulating around social media of him cooking on a gas top in his own house. So,
well, he's a crime and criminal
that's
then.
a little bit hypocritical. Absolutely. But look, I've got gas in my house and I love it. And I think, what a shame. But if the Victorian Liberal opposition are actually taking a stand for once and a point of difference, I think that can be applauded. But I can't see how they'll get into government. I think that's almost impossible the way they carry on down here.
Well, Keith Pitt, you've been in government and you've been in opposition. You're in opposition now. Talk to me about what that's like. And, you know, for the opposition in Victoria, do you think that they are finally starting to learn some lessons about what it takes to actually, if you want to get off of those opposition benches and over to the other side of the parliament?
Well, opposition for just over a year, and I dislike it intensely. It's what drives me to try and make sure we're back there as soon as possible. And finally, what's left of the Victorian Liberal Party in terms of their state MPs, they've pulled the right rein. Finally. That is the right decision. I mean, what is Dan Andrews proposing? You know, that the gas stapo will come round and knock on your door and take out your gas stove? It's just a ludicrous proposition. And once again, it's the government telling you what you can and can't do in your own home.
Well, that's the funniest thing, Gary. I mean, when I grew up, you know, the left was always the ones who were saying, get the government out of your bedroom. And now that I'm a grown-up, they want to get the government into my kitchen, into my garage, into just about every other room of the house. And, you know, school. Some I won't even mention. Gary, what's going on here?
Well, look, James, the simple thing is that if they pull the rein, pull harder, because you need to actually Victoria used to be able to manufacture its way out of economic difficulties, and they've got 200 billion reasons right now. It's called state debt. That's what it's going to be if it's not there already, and that's where it's projected to go. They cannot build their way out of the mess they're in. So in other words, they're going to leave the debt to the next 2 or 3 generations of Victorians to pay, or they're all going to move to Queensland and leave it for the Tasmanians to take it over like the Vikings invading Scotland in the Middle Ages. But either way, until Dan Andrews starts to release the gas and more of it for sale, release the brown coal and more of it for sale, get cheaper electricity back into the grid and stop all this nonsense about presuming that a few wind turbines and a few solar panels destroying agricultural land is going to substitute the base load power. Victoria's manufacturing sector is finished, dead and done. It used to be called the Rust Belt state 30 years ago, but now even the rust has gone to sleep and has left the place. The place is a mess, and it's sad because we need a strong Victoria, strong Victorian economy, because Australia does need a strong Victorian economy and we haven't got it. It's a mess.
Indeed.